Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. How you doing today? You're at the spot, your favorite podcast on the planet. Here is the place where the conversations are pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Today, we are meeting with a brilliant mother of four. Can you look at that body and think that she's had 4 kids? I can't believe it. She's a renowned speaker, a life and business coach, a quantum facilitator, and a nature lover of nature. We're going to ask her, is that sea? Is that land? Is that air? All that and a whole lot more. Let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Natalie Clark?
Hello, great to see everybody and great to see you. Thanks for having me, April. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. I'm excited because there's so many things I want to talk to you about. So tell my brains a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
Well, boy, oh boy, I feel like this is such an evolving story and saga. I feel like I'm in the middle of this beautiful evolving dream, and every day it seems to get bigger and brighter and better. And so I am, yes, a mother of 4, yes, a creator of an entrepreneurial endeavor where I help women reach their highest, fullest potential. And I love all things health, wellness, living a vibrant, thriving lifestyle. And my entire life, you can look back and see how everything that crossed your path really paved the way for where I am today. And I know that I'm nowhere close to being done, and there's so much more I want to do in the world and a lot more fun to be had. So I have 4 children, and my youngest is 8 and my oldest is 16. And I would say about 5 years almost to the day and month, I stepped away from a very successful career in higher education because my heart and soul, it was calling me into true freedom. And it was hard for me to live in what I consider the box of society, which is a job where you have a good salary and you have a pension and you have insurance and all of those things. And I remember looking at it like, boy, this is really lackluster. Like, this is as good as it gets. And we live in a world where everything is, if you want more, you got to do more and you've got to hustle more. And from early on in my career, I knew differently. I want to say I knew better, but I also didn't know how to get to that better. And so, some people always would say, as I would talk about, I want to start my own thing. I want to do something where I'm really using my gifts fully and changing the world, but also loving it and thriving. And, I remember a lot of people used to tell me the grass isn't always greener on the other side, the grass. And I would convince
Yes,
myself.
sometimes it is better on the other side if it's a field or a meadow. And
That's
we're talking
right.
about we're talking about dreams.
Yes.
So many people are still playing small, Natalie. We know
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
they are afraid to be risk takers. As we were talking in the green room,
Yeah.
life is different now.
Yeah.
We are going into, I look at my phone and it's demanding that I update to use artificial intelligence, whether I want to or not. This is where we're headed. So we still have to be able to incorporate all of our dreams and ideas. And I just commend you for being a risk taker, being a mother of 4, because a lot of people wouldn't do that. They want the stability, they want the security. Now, yes, you have a partner, you have a spouse, but all the heavy weight shouldn't be on his shoulders. It's a duality. So you started this career. Now, what did you do before? You said you were an educator?
Yeah, so I had a business background and I didn't last long in corporate. I was like, I'm out of this mess.
I
And
know.
then I landed in higher education. I had a great career and I loved it. And over time, as I had children and I realized I'm not going to be able to enjoy being a mom, being when they need me, where they need me, and in an abundant, prosperous career. So I had to make that choice. And it was hard. Like, you are absolutely correct. People love their safety, they love their security, they
Right.
love their degrees, they love their positions. And, I was just like, I got to all of that. And I was breadwinner in the family, and I just stepped out. And it's like in anything, you step off and that footbridge doesn't show up
Mm,
until you made
mm,
the leap. And I say that over and over and over, not just with clients, but in my own life, because
right.
I'm continually challenged. Take another step off that cliff in faith,
Mm,
and the
mm.
way will appear.
Well, we live by faith and not by sight.
Right.
And so that's with everything. When you wake up in the morning, I am so grateful because I made it through the night because there's somebody that didn't wake up,
That's right.
you know. Let's talk about waking up. When you came to that realization, you got that aha moment. You said, this is what I'm going to do. This is the trajectory that I am going to build my foundation as an entrepreneur. What did that feel like?
Yeah. Yeah. So initially, and it would actually, when you say early in the morning, I would get up early because I had a full day, and goodness gracious, I had to be up by 4. I was nursing. I was, taking care of babies, getting everybody ready and getting out the door and showing up promptly at 8 o'clock as if I had all of my bells and whistles and everything together. The truth is, I had most of my life together, but it was coming at a high price. And so when I thought about the vision of what if I didn't have to get up and be anywhere, and I could create whatever it was I wanted, and I could work as long as I wanted, because to me the definition of doing your soul work is it isn't work. It is not confined by hours in an office, and it's also not stuck behind a computer screen,
Right,
as we know
right,
it's not healthy.
absolutely.
So in those early mornings, I would get the vision, and I didn't even know the big vision. It excited me. It ignited my soul. And I
Wow.
had a lot of conversations with myself, my cup of coffee in a chair, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. And it felt amazing. But like anything, when you are considering doing anything outside of the box, expansive, risk taking, then the ego's job is to come in and clamp it down, So I
Mm,
would go to my job and I'd be like, by the time I got home, I'd be exhausted. And I remember thinking, how am I going to build something and have the 4 kids? And we were also homeschooling on top of it.
mm,
And I was like, I'm one person. And I was like, no, there is a higher bandwidth of a frequency that I can tap into.
right,
And for me, I realized it was, you need to walk away and not know how you're paying your bills and take the faith walk. And so I did that. And it was absolutely terrifying. I tell people I'm about as real and authentic, and I try to give it straight. It was excruciating hard. And I had so many, and I was used to, I always did what I said I was going to do. I was always successful,
hmm,
but go out and step out off a cliff
right,
and have people like, oh, what is she doing? And probably going to fail. And then you have your own inner, what if I don't make it? Like, what am I
right,
going to do? Right.
right.
And I pushed through all of that. And, it wasn't easy. There were many moments of joy, many moments of constriction and fear and, oh my goodness, build it. And what if they don't come? And yet, every day, little by little, I learned so much. And I would say the last 5 years for me, my own personal growth and transformation and all the things that we all desire, it has just gone at such an exponential rate. Never, ever would that have happened if I had stayed in my comfort zone, which was the professional job that was good enough, but
Right.
it wasn't excelling. It wasn't great.
But everybody is not aware of that. Now, you said
Yeah.
something I want to dial back on and tap into. You talked about waking up at 4, 5, 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Quantum physics is amazing. Between 3 and 5, your
Yes.
brain goes from beta to theta to alpha.
Yes,
That
it
is,
does.
yeah, girl, I've been doing my homework. I've been on my Joe Dispenza.
Ah, Dr. Joe.
Absolutely. You know what? And I didn't really realize there's a certain process.
Yes.
When spirit, energy, Gus, God, universe wakes you up at that time, something for you to do besides pee and pick
That's
up your
right.
phone. The last thing you need to do is pick up your phone. And I have been disciplining myself, disciplining myself. I get up, I do almost everything. I take my shower, I eat my breakfast, I do everything before I tap into that device because that is a way of subliminally programming you.
Yes.
And so, what is this program? What is this neuro linguistic language that we're speaking to ourselves? What is the conversation that we're having in our house? Is it I can, I will, I do, I have, I'm grateful, I appreciate. Is it that conversation or is it that lackluster? I don't have, I'm not enough, I'm afraid, I'm scared, I'm this, I'm that. No, you've got to be a risk taker. You have to,
Yeah.
because that is how you put one foot in front of the other.
Yes.
Now everybody's not going to start a business. I have no problem with you being a W-2 employee. There are
Right.
wonderful people working for corporations. That's how the corporations thrive. But when you're there, you have to be like a straw. You've got to suck it up. You've got to meet the CEO. You've got to meet the accounting person. You've got to meet the janitor. You've got to be able to work so that when you leave that company or that company leaves you, what you need to do is be able to still have a briefcase, an arsenal, a Rolodex full of information, tools, inspiration, and insight to build your own, and always have a side hustle. Don't you think, Natalie, that you should always have a little residual income? If it's a retail job, if it's baking cookies, but always have something of your own.
I fully agree. And, over those years when I was working and even with the kids, I was always open to side hustles, and I think the reason was it fed my entrepreneurial spirit. And you are
Right.
absolutely right. There are wonderful jobs out there. And I also want to highlight that I remember probably 8, 10 years ago, I guess part of being a visionary is you get the vision and you get the ideas and you get all of the things before anyone else is talking about it.
Mm.
And you're like, am I the only one that feels this or sees this? But I remember seeing women are going to leave jobs in a mass exodus. They're
Mm.
going to throw the flag on this play of work-life balance. There is no such thing. They can run all the programs, they can do all the things, but at the end of the day, and working now with thousands and thousands of amazing women, most are burned out. Most are teetering near burnout. Most are very successful and doing great, but you start to unravel that just a little bit. The health is going to suffer. There's underlying things that are going on that lead to not living a thriving, vibrant lifestyle. So when I created my little mini empire, my intention was I'm going to grow this and I'm not focused on revenue. I am going to do what I love and they will find me. And I am going to do this from a place of ease and flow. If this is not easy and flowing and joyful, I will hustle, enjoy, and ease and flow. But I will not hustle against the grain, which was my previous life existence in
Right.
all things, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so it was paving a new path. And now I realize, oh, I can help others, right? Trailblazers have to go first and clear out the forest. And maybe it's just a little winding path. But boy, oh boy, are women craving, and men and women. I focus primarily on women, but they are craving freedom. They are craving being healthier, but they don't know necessarily how to get from that train track, point A to point B. You mentioned the early morning. I am adamant about winning your morning. Adamant, adamant. And I have been doing it for probably my entire life. And it was just natural to me. And the times where I have not, whether it was like up all night with kids, and needed that extra sleep, the truth of the matter is when we win our morning, we change our life. And
Absolutely.
if we're not winning our morning, we're not changing our life very much. And so that's one of the foundations of all the work I teach is what's your morning routine? What is your morning practice?
Absolutely. And you have to
And
be disciplined
yeah,
in that and be comfortable in that, but also
yes,
be flexible.
yes,
I'm not going to
right,
say every single morning I'm not going to grab my
right,
phone,
right.
but as a practice and a ritual to myself, you know, exercising. We're going to talk to you in a minute here about your coaching,
Yeah,
but exercising.
yeah.
I was like, oh my God. But then I woke up one day, I climbed this hill. And I was at the bottom of the hill and I was like, oh my God, there's no car here. I have no choice but to get over it. But I thought to myself, how many people can't even get out of bed?
Mhm.
How many people can't walk? How many people don't have a beautiful area with a hill to walk up on? It was a
Yes.
gratitude.
Mm,
Gratitude is latitude that can change your attitude.
mm,
Just
beautiful.
simple gratitude does so much for you to be grateful for everything that you have. You know, you're coaching. In addition, I didn't even tell you guys that. In addition to everything else you're doing, tell us a little bit about coaching because coaching is not just about winning. It's about mindset. It's about mastery. It's about discipline. It's about teamwork. It's a lot of components. Tell us a little bit about your coaching.
Yeah, so as I've worked over the past 5 years, and I think the level of woman that I currently work with, it has evolved just as I have evolved. And so my heart and soul is really, really centered on women who are doing pretty darn good. They've got a lot of the pieces. They're probably winning their morning. They're probably trying to eat healthy. They're exercising or doing some version of taking care of their mind, body, spirit. Many of them are into breath work and meditation and all of those things and energy work. And they also know they're still stuck and or they could be moving along even faster. And there's like this inner drive, inner knowing that they want to be fully ignited. I love the word ignite because to me it represents just a catalyst for change. And I always say we can get there faster. We spend a lot of time, especially in the personal growth and transformation world, which is wonderful and amazing. I love it. It's my world. It's always been a part of my world. And I started to look around and think to myself, yeah, and there's still a lot of people still stuck out there, right? We get caught up in the drama and the chaos of the world around us and we bog ourselves down. And so, where I love to inspire and uplift and ignite and all of those wonderful things is being a beacon of light that when we can do the inner work. And by the way, my inner work does include forms of exercise, but I do a lot with the energy field because I always say, we drink water every single day. Our bodies need it. How many people, go a whole day without water, right? Not recommended, not healthy. And food, unless we're fasting for some reason, we are consuming food every single day because it gives us energy. What we greatly neglect is actually the fact that we are energetic beings, like all of our systems and circuitry. And, there's enough energy in the human body to like blow up and light up a city. Wow, that's pretty awesome. What if we started igniting that energy and using it to light up our path? Where instead, most of us live with clamped down energy fields because we're living behind the ego, we're living in our comfort zones, we're not taking the risk. We convince ourselves the grass is not greener on the other side, and I will say it absolutely was. And many times the grass is greener on the other side, right? And so what I love to just inspire others is when we work with and tend to all components of who we are, physical body, mental body, spiritual body, emotional body, we can set our lives on an entirely new track and we can get there faster. We don't have to wait 20 years to be like, oh, wow, I learned a lot and I'm living my best life. Like, let's get there faster. So I think I bring that catalyst and that momentum in working with our energy, right? And recognizing the importance of taking care of our energy, right? If we feel heavy, if we feel stuck, if there's a body ache or a body part that's, on the struggle bus, that is telling us in no uncertain terms, hey, you've got some blocks going on in the body, and oftentimes, yeah, they're subconscious, but we have to change from all aspects of our life. If the energy field does not change, life is not going to change. So
Oh,
I work with that level. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Natalie, tell me who pours into you? Who are people that you look to inspire you and keep you ignited?
Oh, I have so many incredible mentors, honestly, around the world. I like to tap into people from all different frequencies on the planet. So, a lot of the people that I am drawn to work with, I don't go seeking anybody, right? Like, I have read the books. You have mentioned, Dr. Joe Dispenza. We've got all the greats, Eckhart Tolle, all of the great, Rumi, like all of the greats that have not only gone before us that are in current existence. There are brilliant minds everywhere. So I always say, I want to crowd the airwaves. I want to surround myself and put myself in the rooms with people that are there and are going further. So I invest very heavily in my own expansion of knowledge and wisdom. And I am a studier of the game of life. And so around the world, I have just amazing people who support me.
Right,
And it isn't business coaching, it is truly about me living to my fullest. So a lot of the
right,
stuff that I love to study, it's a lot of behind the scenes around how do we shift the energy field? How do we know what's going on in the cosmos so we're moving more in alignment with nature?
right,
I
right.
live in the trees. You asked me before, do you like the ocean? Do you like the trees? I'm a Pisces to the core, but boy, do I have a lot of fire energy as well. So put me in nature and I'm always going to be happy.
Me
I love
too.
I love the trees. I love spaciousness. You're not going to find me. I love visiting the city. When I create, when I, bring forward new programs, whether it's curriculum, whether it's movement sets, whether it's energy work, that is happening in the woods. That is happening when I'm in nature.
Now, you have 4 children,
Yes.
okay? 4 different personalities.
Yes.
Um, you said was from 8 to 16.
Yes.
You are at a tender mind molding
Yes.
intersection of life right now.
Yes.
What are you pouring into them? Outside of me, I mean, because again, this can be a little heavy for
Yeah.
younger minds to absorb. If they
Yeah.
grow up with it, it will become second nature. But
Yes.
they have the outside influences
Yeah.
because once they step outside that door, no matter what we do, they're their own person and then they're subjected to the world.
Yeah.
What are you pouring into them? And what
Mm.
could you say to that woman that is struggling with her own self, but she's got a bunch of kids that she's
Yeah.
trying to deal with as well?
Yes. And I think, I don't just think, I know that for every minute of inner work that I do for me, I know it is rippling, it is impacting. And, my kids have grown up. They saw me. They were, if we go back 5 years, 11 and down to 3. That was when they saw their mom quit her job, come home. They had mom more, but they probably had a more stressed mom for a short stretch because I knew I had to get back on my feet. I verbalize everything. Everything I tell my clients, my kids hear me saying. Every opportunity that we have when life things come up and in the realm of athletics and friendships and there's a lot of drama out there in the world.
Oh
And
God.
I need to model everything that I teach. So my kids will call me out and they will say, Mom, you need to change your frequency, right? And,
Mm.
if I'm getting stressed or if I'm getting, a little bit worked up over whatever it is,
My
maybe,
daughter has this thing, spoons. Have you heard that?
what is it?
It's called spoons. I don't have enough spoons.
Oh,
I had never heard of that before. And I went somewhere. I was on vacation and I was about to lose it. And my husband goes, Baby, would you like a spoon? I brought that spoon home with me. So again, I get it when they're full and they come to you and they say, Mom, you need to change your frequency. You step back because you're going, wow, what I'm saying is really resonating with them.
yes,
But also it's a check.
yes,
It's a check that, maybe I am off the rails a little bit. Maybe I'm doing a little bit too much this way. Maybe I'm not doing this. Maybe I'm not listening. I remember my daughter telling me one time, she says, I watch every single thing you do.
yes,
I got scared. So I had to watch what I do to be a good role model. So
yes,
you're doing all of these wonderful things. You are a mother, you are a successful entrepreneur, you are coaching other individuals, but you're also a sports enthusiast. And your husband is a coach. Tell us a
yes.
little bit about the athletic part of you.
Yes. So, ever since I was young, my body wanted to move. I mean, I love sports of all kinds. For me, it was about being active. Well, now knowing my body wants to move a lot of energy, and obviously sports can be a wonderful outlet for that. So, my husband was very athletic and loves coaching. He's been coaching for like ever since I met him. He has been in the realm of coaching youth, high school. He always says, if he hadn't met me and married me, he probably would be off in the coaching in the college realms and on the big stages. He's got that depth to him to coach at that level. And so our oldest, he was coaching boys basketball actually. And then we had our oldest, and she was a girl. And then we have baby number 2, and she was a girl. And then we had baby number 3, and she was a girl. He's like, what am I doing coaching boys basketball? So he made the switch, which he absolutely loves coaching females. And he started coaching probably 12, 13 years ago, girls basketball, and absolutely loves it. So our kids grew up, when you talk about how do our kids, they're in the vicinity of it. So all of my kids were literally almost born in gyms. They, from very early ages, were traveling around, going to basketball games. So it's kind of just in their blood and DNA, all 4. And so my oldest daughter, and females in sports, I always say, when I was 12, 13, 14, I did not have the opportunities that my kids have right now. We have created them, and a big piece of me doing this, there's a lot of opportunities my children would not have been able to have simply due to travel if I had stayed in
Oh
my
my
old role.
God.
And so I'm so grateful every day because I had this knowing like I've got to switch because of what's coming and I didn't know what was coming. But what when I was younger, I worked jobs and I had great jobs and I actually made a lot of money in a variety of experiences. And so I worked my way through college and, learned a lot of valuable life skills that way. My children, I can see, are going to take a different aspect. They are going to put that time and that energy and that commitment and that dedication and that accountability into their athletic pursuits. And so I could look at it and say, people say, oh, kids should have jobs. That was something that I believed. And I was like, or we can have kids that can earn their way to a scholarship, and that's worth way more than any summer job would
Right,
ever pay them. So there's no right or wrong way. It's like following your bliss, following what you're gifted with.
right.
And I absolutely love cheering people on. I see a lot of the mindset work, especially in the female athletic realm. Like a big passion of mine is we limit ourselves. And girls in sports and women in sports are no different. But when you
Right.
see the greats out there, they have pushed through to a frequency. And I want to be in the room with those wonderful, incredible,
It's a level of
beings.
excellence. I was thinking about my cousin. Her husband is an endodontist, and she works in the office, whatever. But she had three kids doing three different sports. One was doing basketball, one was doing volleyball, and the other one was doing water polo. I just don't, the travel alone would drive me crazy. But you know what was the most important thing out of all of that? And I remember because I would, do tap dance and gymnastics and modern dance in school, is to look out there and see your parent. I don't care whether you win or lose. My mom was there, my dad was there to support me.
Yes.
You know, they don't
Yeah.
realize the sacrifices that you make when you quit your job and you do this full time, or when you get off work and you're changing your clothes in the car to be at their basketball game. But the fact that you are there to support them speaks volumes.
Yes.
And then I was also, I can't remember this doctor's name, but I just happened to be on YouTube and he was talking about creativity in your
Mm,
children. You put all the ninth graders in one classroom, you give them standardized tests, you expect for them to read, they're mechanical animals. You expect for them to read, to write, to spell, everything just like everyone else on this, but that's not it. You're homeschooling. I give you all the credit in the world because I told you I'm not probably going to get any grandchildren. I'm going to get a puppy. I'm going to be a grandmuppy. But all of the other children that I support, I absolutely love it. During the pandemic, there was a little boy down the street, and his mother was going ham on him. She was a young mother. I could tell she was single. She just, she was at her wit's end. And I said, no, hey, I tell you what. Why don't you, if come meet me and my husband, or why don't you send him down to my house on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Natalie, my
mm,
life is forever changed. That's my best friend. I taught him how to plant in the garden. My husband taught him how to do some woodworking. We did mathematics. It was there and it gave her a break. This is
mm.
what we have to do. We have to engage and invest in our children. I don't think they need to be in a classroom for 7 or 8 hours.
They don't.
Give them 2, 3 hours of instruction and give them life experience. I'm so
Totally.
I'm such a fan of homeschooling now. I'm a little intimidated by it because
Yeah.
I'm not into it. But you're teaching different grade levels and all that. What made you decide to homeschool?
You know, that's a great question. I came from a lineage of educators, but I also had, and my mom and dad were both teachers, but my mom was always very against the grain. And she said exactly what you said. And this is years ago. Kids don't need to be in a structured classroom for that long. It actually is counterproductive,
Right.
and now that I look at it, I'm like, oh, I get it. The schools are the babysitting centers so that mom
Mm-hmm.
and dad can go to traditional jobs and work and kids are covered, right? And then what does that do? That prepares these amazing kids of all ages for the world of work where you now
Right.
are still in that box. And, our oldest is in the high school level. She's doing amazing. She loves it. It's been a great transition. For me personally, it was freedom and flexibility, because for me, it was one thing for me to get out of the house and get to a job and do my thing. But if I had to like also get their stuff ready, and um, we did it differently than I would say most. And some of our kids, I would say they were a little more unschooled. They're thriving and doing amazing. So all of them will make the transition into high school, but they have all learned so many valuable lessons because they have responsibility. Mom was working, the kids were home alone a lot. Oldest, they all work together as a team. They had to be disciplined. They didn't need me over their shoulder saying, you must do this. I said, hey, here's the deal. You're going to hit the real world. You got to be smart. You got to know what you're going to do. If you want to go to college, you got to make the grades. You know, I did not micromanage their educational experience. We gave them experiences. You know, I took my older two to Sweden last year and they had the time of their life. Now, talk about a different way of doing things, a different educational model, a healthier lifestyle. My kids learned a lot by being, you know, a week in Sweden and seeing how American life is truly the rat race, right? It is the grind. And there's so many amazing educators. My husband is a teacher, right? But I have always maintained that we can get there in a lot less time. You know,
Right.
you know, employees in that environment, you know, there's such a thing with a 40-hour work week, which is usually a 50 or 60 or God only knows how many. I'm like, no, put people in their genius zones, pay them 10 times what you're paying them. That work's going to get done. It's going to get done more creatively because the box of what I would call society, right? Because we're trying to the structure, and we are in a time where those systems and structures are crumbling.
Hmm.
And I'm so excited because it's like, something great and amazing can be built from this. And that's where I feel like a lot of these trailblazers are going to pave new ways of doing things. You know, I said, I'm going to create a business where I can make as much money as I need to make and want to make and have as much time as I want to have. And it's all a frequency. It's all tapping into what do I love to do? What lights me up? Build it, and they will absolutely come. And that has worked amazingly.
But you have to talk to the subconscious mind and bring that forth.
Yes, you
I
do.
always tell people there's 4 or 5 people dancing around in this sugar plum here that I haven't even met yet. You know,
But they're
and
there.
but they're there,
Yes.
and you can't be afraid of that.
Right,
Can't be
right.
afraid, and that's what it is. The world is now manipulated individuals so much that we are afraid of our own shadow.
Oh, we are.
But we
We are.
see things, we see images, we hear voices, and we immediately get anxiety and get angst. I'm not going to live my life like that. I'm not
Right,
going to do it.
right.
I have a choice here. So I turn it off. I listen to some music and the music industry. We're not even going to go into that. Some of my favorite artists, I can't listen to them anymore. So now I'm listening to alternative music, but it's
Wow.
music that has a different frequency, that has a
Right,
different tone,
right.
pan music, sound bowls, uh,
Yes.
chimes, wind chime, different things that are soothing, that are elevating me, that are changing me, drums. You know, I don't have to listen to all of this salacious vulgarity,
Yeah.
you know, that's coming out in the world. And so we have a choice that we need to resonate with. Let's ask
Wow.
you some fun questions.
Yes.
I love to do this. Out of all the things in the world, Natalie Clark, if you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be?
Oh, you know, I have to be the mixer, the ultimate mixer that's going to chop through the icy blocks and just like chop, chop, chop into this beautiful parade of goodness. Yes.
Really? I'm
Push the level.
I'm
Yep.
the refrigerator. I just want to sit somewhere and chill. If you were a flower in the garden, what flower would you be?
My favorite flower is the calla lily.
Oh, I love calla lilies. My girlfriend, when my mother passed away, she gave me some that were so purple they almost look black. And
Mm.
they are just they have a certain grace about them. So I can
Mm.
see you loving calla lilies. Absolutely. Are you a tree hugger? Do you like to hug trees?
I did. I did the other day too, where I live in my northern climate. It's snowy. And, you know, here in the Western world, we are really ungrounded. And so we have to be intentional about getting ourselves back grounded. Like you mentioned, the drumming music, right? And to me, I live in the trees, but there's nothing like going out. And sometimes when I just need to get an idea or, you know, maybe I'm running away from the kids, I will just lean my back on a tree. In fact, I took a picture the other day of just
I
leaning
saw
on a
it. I
tree.
think you posted it on social
Yes, I
media.
did. I probably did. Yes. So that is me. I love that wood grounded energy of strong and
People don't
fierce.
realize that. One of my guests told me, she says, I can see you being a tree hugger. And I went out, where were we? We were in Yosemite
Mhm.
and homeschooling. There was a mother there with two of her children that was homeschooling, and they were learning from the Native Americans about
Mm.
weaving baskets. And then her mother says, she says, let's go talk to the earth and the spirits. And I saw them, and I asked them to teach me. There was an overwhelming sense of calm, but
Mm.
connectivity. I really felt like age old wisdom from touching that wood, leaning there and just breathing. And I had some friends that were kind of snarky. Oh, girl, your face is going to be covered with ants. And I was like, no, you don't get it.
Yeah.
By the time we left Yosemite, they were laying against the tree, grabbing that energy as well. So
Those are
grounding
powerful
yourself,
trees. Yeah.
absolutely grounding yourself, taking your socks and shoes off and wiggling your toes in the grass, going to the beach and actually touching the sand and taking away that electromagnetic energy that we're
Right.
getting from all of this.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right.
If you could time travel,
Mm.
go back to the past, stay here in the present, project to the future, where would you land?
Mm. Definitely not in this country. There's a big part of my soul. I spent some time in South Africa, and that was like exquisite. There is a part of me that wants to be in South America. I want to see
Mm.
Chile, the Andes Mountains,
Mhm.
and have not visited there, but there is a draw there. I would love to go back and be.
I did that. But when you can really appreciate other cultures, other
Mm,
places,
yeah,
but people don't do that now because they don't travel. Do you know
right.
40% of Americans have a passport?
Mm. I think travel has really, and I haven't done as much as I want to do, but like, you know how your soul just loves to travel.
Right.
And I know there's lots of ways you can see and experience. I now, with international clients, have been able to visit some in other countries and flying across the globe. And it has been such a beautiful, magical experience because different parts of the earth have different energies and frequencies. And
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
when you visit, like if you're drawn to a certain place, I've got a huge appreciation for European countries. And it's like when you go there, you don't return the same person. When I went to South
No.
Africa and I was in the mountains and it was a conscious leadership retreat that I was co-facilitating, I did not come back the same person. And there's like a transmission of knowing
Absolutely. I
that
just came from
comes.
Thailand
Yes.
and I got to go to the elephant sanctuary.
Mm,
And I tell you, and to look an elephant, I mean, you're like this right in their face.
right.
There's a conversation to be had there.
Yeah.
There's an and the people and the food. We're not even
Mm,
talking about the food because the food here in the United States is killing us,
right.
you know. But the
Right.
food I tasted a peach and the juice just squirted out and just ran down my face. I had never tasted anything so wonderful. So if you get an opportunity, brains, go on a trip.
Yes.
Save your money. Don't buy the expensive handbag. Don't go out to all of these bougie restaurants. Don't listen to the salacious music, but save your money and go outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
You will be forever changed. And then make a video. I went back to Thailand a few days ago. I watched it again. We took a cooking class. It was just absolutely wonderful. But in closing, Natalie Clark, what do you want your legacy to be?
Mm. I want to create a ripple movement where the right people that are meant to either work with me or come into my vicinity, that they go out there and they have a similar story in their own unique way as mine was, which is simply, I did the scary thing. I jumped off the cliff. I changed my life and I changed the generations that came after me. And so we're in such a time of opportunity. And if we can detach from the chaos and detach from the drama and detach from the old paradigm and the old belief systems and get out of the fear that is all around us when we're turning on our screens and turning on the TV, if we can step into who we came here to be, that excites me. That lights me up. That is what motivates me to get up each and every single day. And I want my children not waiting to jump into their entrepreneurship if that is their path. I want them out there creating, being a light out there for others to follow, but being so true to themselves. And the more people that we can have doing that, that is what I know my legacy is going to be, which is going to be we can get there and we can get there faster.
Well, we're going to get there on a jet plane.
Right. Rocket ship.
Absolutely. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you. I'd love for them to work with you if there's any current offerings.
Yes. Well, I have my website, natalie-clark.com. I have a free Facebook group where I do tons of trainings, like live stuff like this, where I am given a topic and I slap on a Facebook Live and I just speak. I will run occasional master classes. I do a lot with movement and learning and teaching people how to clear their own inner blocks. So there's many, many different ways and opportunities. My coaching experience is really for those that are not toe dipping, that are truly like, I'm in it to win it. Let's go, right? I'm focused on where I'm going. I'm not focused on the past. That would be a more unique experience, but there's many different ways to tap into the work that I love to do. And if it's a good fit for people, I'm always welcoming new people into my community.
Well, give us one more. I think you said a little fast. Give us your website again.
Okay, Natalie with a hyphen, and then my last name, Clark.com.
Did you get that, brains? Natalie with a hyphen and Clark. We're going to put all of her amazing information, contact information at the back of this. We're going to run this interview over and over again on all of our different locations. We've moved from Blog Talk because Blog Talk disbanded. But now we are on Spreaker, which is an Apple product. So we're on Apple, we're on Google, we're on Spotify, we're on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we are wherever you are. Thank you so much, Natalie Clark, for being with us. You are an inspiration and a great person, and I'm so glad to have you on the edge.
Thank you.
Bye, brains. Have a good day. We're counting on you.